Welcome to another art lesson with Mrs. Bailey, and today we are going to be creating collage. Now this lesson has been inspired by this fabulous book called Mythologica, and it's by Steve Kershaw, and the illustrations have been created by Victoria Toppin. So I'm just going to show you them quickly. So this beautiful one of Zeus, and this will sort of explain why I'm so excited about this artwork today. So Victoria Toppin is known worldwide for her printmaking and her digital collages, and we are going to magpie some of Victoria Toppin's ideas and use them in our own masterpieces. Now today across our whole school we are having a whole day of art based on collage, and each year group are going to have a different theme. So I'm going to show you what year 5 are going to be doing and how we're going to create our collage. Now our theme is mountains, and in our writing this week we had to invent or create our own god or goddess of the mountain. So with collage, the idea is to build your background first. So with that in mind, what I've done is I've grouped lots of resources together in the colours that I might need. So I've been thinking about textures, different colours, and what might be in my background. So obviously if I'm using a big mountain, I know that my mountain is from the Tatra Mountains, a whole range of different mountains. So what I'm going to do is just have a look at these resources. So I've got, this is an old pair of jeans, so I've got some beautiful denim, and the thing I particularly like is it's faded in certain areas, so I'm going to really use that to good effect in my collage. I've got some bubble wrap. I had somebody who had a parcel delivered and I pulled this out of the parcel. That is going to be great. Look at the texture in that. I went through Nirvana's scrap box and I found some really lovely scraps of paper that she was throwing away. So that was really handy. Lots of lovely textures. I been chopping up net curtains, hemming them. So this was left over, so I could use that. I've got some buttons. Now I am obsessed with buttons. I do collect them. So I just have a big jar, throw them all in, and look, these are going to come in handy today. So somebody in your house might have a stash of buttons you could use. Look at these little leftover bows from Christmas. Oh, good old toilet roll. My goodness, I can't get enough of this really. It's a good job it's not the March lockdown, isn't it, when we couldn't get hold of even a single roll. But look at this, it scrunches up beautifully. It's really good for snow. I've even found, I don't know whether I'm going to use this or not, but this is a Christmas serviette which has been left over, and if you scrunch it up, that could be nice on a mountainside. And good old trusted black bin liners. There's so much you can do with these. So please ask whoever owns your house or the people in your house, please ask if it's okay to use these resources, because I don't want you just, you know, getting hold of somebody's net curtains when they might need it. So just please ask permission before you use anything. And you might not have any idea of where to start with this. I never do. I never know what's going to happen with it. It just evolves. So have a play. Collage is about mucking around and investigating your materials, and it's really lovely to just get some ideas together. Don't stick anything down to begin with. Just try a few things out and then just see what comes together. I think you're going to be amazed at how incredible bits and bobs from around the house can produce a most magnificent piece of artwork. So what I've done is I've had a bit of a play. I'm going to have the denim, I think, in the background. So I'm not gluing any of this down at the moment. I'm just working out where I want things to be. That I think will look quite good there. Now I've found this sparkly paper which I've mentioned before. So I'm just going to lay it on my fabric. You will need to play with this. Now, when you're cutting mountain shapes, they don't have to be perfect. That's why this artwork's quite lovely. And then, if I put that over, because it's see-through, I might actually have this behind these mountains. So once you start putting your resources together, your materials, you'll start to get a better idea of what it is you want. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly cut down here. Nothing has to be perfect, which is why collage is so good, because anybody can do it. I'm just going to chop away, putting in some mountain peaks. As you can see, look, I haven't even drawn it out. I don't really need to. I know mountains go up and down, lots of peaks in their range. If I sit that there, that looks quite nice. I like that. What happens if I put this sparkly stuff over it? Ooh, yep, quite happy, kind of. Might do a little bit over here as well. So this is the top bit I've cut off. Now, the good thing about this, when you do mountains or a skyline, is the scrap that you get left with. Look, it's already cut out for you. So you can layer it. So I don't know if I'm going to stick that like that. As you can see, I'm just playing with it all at the moment. I have different layers. Yeah, that's okay for now. And then let's have a look. Yeah, quite like that for now. Now I cut this out because I really loved the pattern on this, and I just wondered whether I could sneak it in somewhere, whether it would look any good. You can see now why I don't stick anything until I'm satisfied. Let's have a look. Now all these different layers are adding depth to your background. So it actually starts to become a little bit more 3D. So let's have a look. Now I've got to consider whether I like that or not. Don't know, it might be all right. Now I did find as well this piece of cellophane that's come off of something, and I've cut a mountain shape. Now I want to use this because it kind of gives a glassy, icy effect, but I'm not sure whether I like it yet or not. So it gives a little bit of shimmer. So do I like that or not? Let me stand up and have a look. I do like the shimmer effect. I think that's really, really nice. I'm just not sure where to put it at the moment. So it could go there, and then I could put another piece over here. So let me try that. Oh, look, as I said, if you cut the scrap bit off, you've already got the shapes. So I've turned it upside down. So let's just chop that bit off because that's a bit screwed up. This is actually doubled. Just makes it a little bit more icy. I think I do like it, and I think that when the light catches it, it will look quite cool. So as I say, nothing is ever planned. Things just happen. They evolve. And this is the great thing about artwork, is you can do what you want. It's brilliant. So let me chop that bit off, creasy bit. Look, I've taken absolutely no care in cutting any of that out. You don't have to. Right, now I could play around with that for a while until I get it absolutely perfect, or I could leave it like that. So I'm just going to have a little think about it before I glue it down. So make sure that you're 100% happy with it, because once it's glued, you can't move it. Okay? So you might see from this now that I have glued my background on. So I've got all my different layers to give depth. It's there are loads of splodges of glue. Now PVA glue does dry clear, but I'm hoping it did what it did to my work yesterday, where it makes it look slightly icy. So I won't know about that until it's dry. You might notice that I've got a bit of a dodgy gap in the middle. Now my goddess of the mountain is going to kind of cover up this middle bit, so I thought I'm not going to be fussy about it not being perfect if I'm going to cover it up with my goddess. My next plan is to do the foreground. So this is where my main mountain is going to be. So I need to think about what is happening around here. Now yesterday I spent ages making lovely grass and everything, only to cover it up with snow. So today I thought, right, I'll have a play around with this. What could I put in my foreground? So I could put snow. Now I've got some old crepe paper. This is lovely because you just rip it. Ripping and tearing. Not only is it very therapeutic, it also looks really good. So you can layer ripped pieces to do your foreground. Have a play again, don't stick anything down until you're certain. You could also use fabric for this. So I found, not really looked at this yet, but there are scraps of fabric now. Oh my goodness, the sound of ripping fabric. So let's see how strong I am. See if I've cut it a bit first because I'm not very muscly, so probably find it. Oh no, it rips really well. And it gives you a really nice texture as well. So love that, love the sound of it. This is very therapeutic art, isn't it? Yes, it just makes you feel so good. So I could have strips of that. So just plop bits on. Then you can have make a decision later about what you like and what you don't like. What else have I got? I've got netting. I do like netting, I just don't know where it's going to go. Maybe that could be sky later, I'm not really sure. I've also got this, I like this. I don't know whether I like it in my collage, but I don't know, let's try it. Because again, it's hard. I'm trying to get a long bit. That didn't work, did it? So that's better. Maybe little bits. Don't know if it's too patterned or not. Could I just want to show that there are things that do grow on the mountainside, and because this is a Christmas serviette or napkin, it's got berries and things on that would grow. Ooh, maybe if I layered it in, it might look good. So instead of doing all the dark green and a solid block that I did yesterday for my foreground, this could work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a little play and see what I end up with. Now I'm just going to lay it all on. I'm not going to glue it until I'm completely satisfied, and then I'll come back in a minute and show you. Now my foreground is just about finished. I say that because it's got a lot of drying to do. The PVA glue is very soggy, and when I come back to it, there might be areas that I might want to add some extra pieces to. So I've really layered everything for my foreground. I did decide on this serviette. I thought actually little strips of it were quite nice. Just one thing I'd like to say, with lots of people at the moment, because we're in lockdown and we're having things delivered to the house, make use of cardboard boxes. If your parents or the adults living in your house are having things delivered, these make really good canvases. So cut your flaps off and keep some of those wide sides of your boxes, so this bit can be trimmed off, and you've got free canvases, so you could cut them out and stash them away until you do another art project later on. Now the next thing for us to do is to create our mountain god or goddess. So I've got two images here. I'm really undecided which one to choose. So I thought maybe I'd play with both of them and see which one I prefer, because this was the one originally I was going to choose, because I really loved her eyes, and my mountain goddess is beautiful, and I thought the eyes were quite important in it, although I'll probably cut them out anyway. So this one I loved because of the profile, and I thought, different bit of an angle this time. So yeah, now this part of the collage is the hardest bit to do, because this is the bit where it's a bit weird cutting out eyes and then replacing them with some of the features that Victoria Toppin uses. Now, getting her book, I'm just going to quickly flick to one of her images where she's cut the eyes out and she's replaced it with something else. Right, here's one. Let's have a look. This is Hermes. Right, so I'm trying to get the shine off of this so you can see it properly. That's better. Right, so if you have a look, she's really played around with that face. And I'm sure when Victoria probably first started doing this, she kind of had the same dilemma. It's like, oh, do I cut the eyes out? Don't I cut the eyes out? So just try different things. Now, what I did yesterday with this is I drew some eyes on paper for my volcanic god that I did. I drew some eyes and then I cut them out, and then I just held them over the actual face that I had, just to see whether it looked any good or not. So don't forget, don't stick straight away. I keep saying that all the way through this. Don't stick. Try different things out, play around with it and layer it before you glue anything down permanently. This really is the way to go with collage. Now, while my background is drying, I've discovered something really useful. So, you know, the cardboard bit I cut off of a box, I've actually found it. It's a really useful kind of platform for me to work on. So it's like a little slope. So I'm going to just use it just to do my work on. So I've chosen the image. Now I am going to start with this, and you might see that I have just had a go. So it's very shiny paper, glossy paper from a magazine, and I just wanted to see whether paint would sit really well on it. So I found some fabric dyes as well that I had, these, but I found them a little bit watery. Now, using paint straight from a tube, just to wet your brush and just dry it off a bit, and then to use paint directly from a tube works really well. So I'm going to go with that. So I've decided to start with this picture. So I'm going to cut it out. I'm just going to cut around her head. Now, the fact that we haven't got her whole back of her head in doesn't really matter. And I've decided that when I get to the front part, once the writing's been cut away, I'm just going to leave a slight white border. Now, that doesn't matter because I've got a snowy area and I can put bits in at a later date. Now, it's quite good to keep the scrap part to just practice your paints on when you're going to use them. So keep hold of that. So I'm just cutting all the way around, and the back of her head will be covered in the mountain in a moment. So I've done that. Now, yesterday I didn't do this. When I did my volcanic one, I just used the image like this and just stuck it straight onto my background. This time I might add, put it on a piece of card just to make it a bit stiffer, because it might be easier to work with. So you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to try it today just to see if it helps. So I'm going to really quickly glue. Now I've got my glue and a paper plate that I can throw away, and I'm just using a lollipop stick to apply my glue, because Nirvana and I tidied up the studio, and for the life of me I cannot find my glue spreaders today, so I'm just using a lollipop stick today to glue it. There we go. So just a bit of glue just to stick it to a piece of card. Now, if you are doing this from home, as lots of us are not in school, can I just say that if you're doing this on your kitchen table or your really lovely wooden dining room table, please have something over it so that you're not dropping glue all over the place. And all artists tidy up afterwards, so just be sure to make sure you are tidying up. Right, so I now have my lovely lady on here, all stuck, so she's a bit more sort of, it's going to be easier to work with now, I think. She won't be so bendy. So I'm just going to cut this out as well before I start to apply my paint. So I'm just going to cut it round, so making sure I don't chop off her lovely eyelashes. So I'm going to hopefully paint those in a moment. So just cut all the way around. Now, collage involves a lot of cutting out, and it depends on how good your scissors skills are. So what I find when children cut is sometimes they cut with their scissors at a slight angle and you don't really get the action, so you don't get the sharpest part of the scissors actually cutting, especially fabrics. So if you hold them directly down like that, so they're not tilted to the side, you'll be able to use your scissors a lot better. So by just applying that tiny little trick to your cutting should help. Because when I correct children's cutting in the classroom, that's the number one thing that they do. They're not holding the scissors correctly, and then it's just harder. And the more cutting out you do, obviously it exercises your hand and your hand becomes a bit stronger as well. So just going to cut that bit off, and it should be more or less ready. Just chop that off there. This is all going to be covered, so I don't need to make that bit neat. So there we go, we've got our lady, and some of these edges will be covered up anyway, so we don't have to be too accurate. Now the glue always makes it a little bit wrinkly until it dries out. So I've noticed in Victoria's work, I'm going to show you this because I'm quite inspired by this image of the sirens in the book. So again, I'm just going to try and show you that without the sheen on. There we go. I love those colours. I thought they were going to be quite good for my mountain, and I like the use of blues and purple, so I was quite inspired by that. So some of the graphics she has added to these beautiful faces, I'm going to have a go at. So using my paint, I'm going to choose purple naturally because it's my favourite colour, and I'm just going to wet my paintbrush just a little bit, and have a paper towel or a piece of tissue handy because I'm just going to take off some of that excess moisture from my paintbrush. Now I'm just going to turn the image around so I can see it. Now I love the way that Victoria's used this purple to add some lines onto the face. Now you have to kind of get yourself in a position so that the shine on this particular paper is not getting in the way of what you can see. So she has added some lines down the chin, so I'm going to paint it on very carefully. And then there's one. Now I'm not exactly doing what she's done, I'm just taking some of her ideas. So we're magpieing ideas, but we're not necessarily doing exactly what Victoria's done. So not sure whether to go. So she's gone around the nostril. That might be nice actually. Is to I've just had the sun's come around the side of the building, so it's shining directly on my work. So it's actually quite hard to see now. I have to keep tilting it so we can see it properly. Now if it goes a little bit wrong, or you think it's gone wrong, don't panic. Just go with it, carry on. Because you'll be amazed what this turns out like. So I'm just going to extend that up towards the eye, and I'm just going to take it round a bit. It's got a curl, she's got some curls in her work. Now because I'm using this quite thickly, I don't want too much water in this paint, because what will happen is it will make this glossy paper too wet. So we can always touch this up a little bit. If it doesn't quite work, then we just go over it. Right, so what else have we got? So she has used lots of white. Now I might paint the lips before I do anything else. What colours have I got? I've got this nice blue. That's lovely. Ooh, I've got that blue. Ooh, decisions. Right, where's my piece of paper? So I'm just going to try these colours out because I can't decide which one I want. So again, wetting the brush, taking off the excess water so it's not too wet, poking it into our paint tube. That colour's lovely. I'm going to use that colour. So take your time doing this. So creating one of these collages took me the best part of yesterday. So it is an all-day project. That's why we've called it an art day. This is where you're going to take your time. So I'm sure Victoria takes days to create her artwork. A lot of care and thought has gone into it, and I can imagine, I can just picture her sitting on her floor or at a huge table arranging pieces so that it comes together how she wants it to, a bit like the way that I've done it today. So it's quite hard to get in. I think I should have painted the lips first really. So I'm just going to paint those in there. So I'm using, this is gouache. You can use acrylic paint, you can use watercolour, just keep it nice and thick. So lines, I just needed a bit of flexibility in here. Round that off in a minute. Put lipstick on. I was going to use Tipp-Ex, you know, that liquid correction fluid that you get. I was going to do the lips in that, but then I thought, oh, when I saw this image in the book, it really made me wanted to do blues and purples. So I might add a bit of white in a minute. I've got some white paint, but if I haven't got enough white paint, then I could use the Tipp-Ex correction fluid. Right. So this does not have to be perfect. Right, so that's that done. Now, earlier I cut out a circle to put on her cheek like that, because I saw that in Victoria's book. She's got white, she's done all the eyelashes in white. That could be an idea. I'm in an R in whether to do white or blue. It's really tricky. I could do the eye in blue actually, so that little bit of eye that I can see, I might do that blue, and then the eyelashes in white, and maybe the eyebrows. Not sure. I could do a bit of both actually, a bit of blue, the eyebrows, and a bit of white. So you're making decisions all the time and it will change. So what you start off thinking, oh yes, I've planned that, and then it might change as you go along. So this is the beauty of it, is that, as I keep saying, it evolves as you work through it. So blue, and then I will go over that in white in a moment. Okay, so she's got lots of red dots on the face as well. I've got this colour, that's quite nice. I don't want it to be too red, so let's, and I might actually stick, where's my glue? I might stick that on now. I've decided it's definitely going on there. So a bit of glue, and then I'm going to press that down and stick it. I quite like that. So far I'm liking it, which is unusual for me, because I normally do this and I'm like, oh, I don't like that now. Now I've done that, and then later on I do decide to like it. So I'm like that with everything that I do. I change my mind all the time. So let's try a bit of red. So again, I've wet my brush. I'm going to take the excess water off so it's not too soggy. And that's naughty. I keep putting my paint on my work, which is a silly idea because I'll probably drop paint all over my work and then I'll be cross. Ah, I've not opened this one before. Let's quickly open this paint colour. Lovely. Oh, this is nice because it's a similar colour to the berries. Wow. Right. So Victoria has placed a few dots around the nose. Where am I going to stick mine? I'm going to do, oh yes, she's got some near the eyes. So I'm just going to try and do some blobs. Really carefully. I'm quite glad I've chosen this colour. That's quite nice. I'm glad I didn't choose, I've got another red, but it's a bit garish, a bit bright, and not quite sure it would have worked. So a few little dots, quite like the dots are nice. Now something I used yesterday on my volcano, I did arrows because it showed the direction of the magma spurting out of the volcano. I'm not sure whether to do a similar thing on here or not, because she is a goddess who creates avalanches, so she could do a similar thing where it rushing down the mountain. Right, I feel that she's got this, just lent in loads of glue. I feel that I need to do something here because she's got her ear exposed, so I might do some purple around the ear. I really ought to do that bit next because I don't want to lean on it. So let's get the purple out. So again, always remember to take the water off my brush, and I'm just going to outline the ear. So I'm going to start with the inside. So don't forget you can turn it around. I might start, hard to know where to begin. Right. Let's start with this bit. So don't forget you can turn your work around. I'm using a really thin brush here as well. I don't feel like I can control a thick one neatly. And don't forget, if your work's still wet, you've got to try and do this without smudging it. That could be the tricky thing, which I'm bound to do because I'm accident prone. And then I might just go inside the ear. Like that. Okay, now I'm just going to do this part just to make the earlobe stick out. Just need a little bit of water, so if your paint decides to sort of dry out a bit, just add a little bit more water. It's quite, because I'm using a thicker sort of paint, it's hard to get a continuous line because the paint runs out on your brush, so you can go over it. So no worries about that. Right, I feel like I need to do something here. I would like to continue the red, so I'm just going to put my lid back on the purple, get rid of that. Red dots again, so oh, I keep putting my paint on my work. I'm going to learn the hard way in a minute when it ruins it. Right, okay, so I know what I'm going to do, some little dots which go around here. Maybe some up here. Okay, that's enough for those. And just a bit of blue to come around here. Now, I'm just going to do a sweeping line. So, and then I need to just go over that. I knew I'd have to put an arrow in there. I like arrows. I'm not sure why. Kind of looked like a wintry wind, direction of the wind or something. And then I'm just going to do another arrow here. Right, I'm looking at her hair now. I'm not really sure what to do with it, but I think I might paint the hair, and I'm sure, ooh, you can see the paint's separating. I think I've got too much water on it. Just a few little blue bits. I'll probably add something to cover the hair, but for now, I think I might make some of these a bit thicker. I like to kind of change the image as much as I can. And then her hair will be covered by the mountain. As she's sitting in the mountain. You see the paint's sort of separating because it's such a shiny surface. It looks quite good though because it goes bubbly. That's quite nice. Right, I needed to add a bit of white, so now, as that's a nice paintbrush I was using, I might need to just grab an old one. Have a look. An old paintbrush somewhere. No, I might have to use this one because I can't find an old one, so I'm just worried it's going to ruin my paintbrush because I'm going to put some Tipp-Ex on it. just to create the white bit. Right, so let's have a look. I've not tried this out yet, so where's my little piece of magazine just to try it out on? I suppose if I've washed my paintbrush up straight away, then it should be, oh yeah, lovely. So let's just try, see what happens. Ooh. No. Quite nice actually. You don't need any water for this. The eyelash is going to be hard. I need to kind of lean this way. Right, let's have a look. Again, that shine is quite tricky. Tempted to put my paintbrush in that water then. Right. I'll put some of this white into her hair. Right, let's have a look. Yeah, not bad. Just wondering whether to just add a little bit of blue. Put my lid on this before I knock this over. It's going to be hard to get the Tipp-Ex off the brush. Probably ruined it. I'm going to have to keep this as my old brush now. It's amazing what you end up using when you can't find white paint. And that's my white paint. It's like nothing in there. Right, so let's see whether I can just add some blue. Not sure now. Yeah, just a little few flicks. Okay. Right, she is more or less ready. I've just got to decide what I'm going to do to her hair. So I've got no idea at this point. Until she dries off a bit, I might use cotton wool balls or I might use ripped up paper. So I'm going to let her dry. I've got the rest of my mountain to dry, so she's going to end up going there, and then I need to build my mountain. So my next plan is, before I do it anymore to her, is to kind of create the mountain, and I'm going to do that by using probably my black bin liner or some paper. So this is my black bin liner. So what I did last time with this is, and this was really good fun, was I just ripped the bin liner to pieces. It's really easy to do, and I just scrunched it all up. So just have a play and just tear up into balls, or you can just get a whole load of it. And just create your mountain in one piece. So you could, for instance, get rid of her for a minute. is just layer it on like that. So sometimes that's a quicker way to do it, and then just put it into a mountain shape. And then you can stick your image on. And then add bits, so you can chop her neck off there, so you can add bits to it if you want to save a bit of time, and then just tuck in little bits. This is why I've stuck her onto card, because I just find this bit a little bit easier to then stick all the little rocky bits on. So now I've provided a basis for my mountain goddess Gerla to sort of sit amongst. I now need to create the mountain so it looks like she's inside it. So I'm going to scrunch up some bin liner, and I'm just going to plop it into my glue, and then I'm just going to stick little bits of the mountain so it just slightly comes over her, and sometimes you have to just hold it in place just for the glue to take, and just sort of cover up some of these edges so she just looks like she's underneath it. So just a few little bits like this. A lot of pressing. Oh, I'm trying to rip some of this off. It should rip easily because it's a really cheap bin liner, so they tear quite easy when you don't want them to normally, when you've got all your rubbish inside them. Now if you get any bits that stick up later, don't forget you can always go back and just glue them in again. And I'm just going to come round here and very carefully, just so that it's not covering up her face, tuck some little bits in. So again, it looks like she's emerging from the mountain rather than being stuck on top. So again, we're creating that sort of dimension of sort of layering, which is what collage is all about. So just so that she's sneaking out of it like this. Now obviously if the image keeps popping up, then you can always stick more glue underneath it. And I've got some little bits sticking up here, that's okay, because they can all be glued down. So it will move around until you fix it into place. I run out of bin liner. My goodness, I'm just going to have to get another one. I can't believe I've used a whole bin liner already. Wow. Right, let's just get another one off. I just need a few more bits. And again, make sure you've got permission to use these bin liners. You don't want your mum or your dad tonight going to take the rubbish out and there are no bin liners left. So just please ask permission for anything that you use. I know I keep saying that, but it's really important that we ask permission for these things. Okay, now let's pop some of this in. So I'm just going to put a bit around here, and I can keep adding to this later. So because you'll be forever just finishing bits off, I'm going to just stick some glue under there, and that bit's taken over. Now the reason why I'm leaving some of the bin liner bits later, I might just do that edge quickly because that's annoying me now, is because we're going to put snow on this, so we don't want to go too mad. We can decide what needs to be added right at the end. Right, that's pleasing me a little bit more. And just give it a good press. Right, so you can play around with this. Now, we need some snow. I will fill in this bottom of the mountain in a bit. I'm going to show you how to do the snow. So the snow I used last time, cotton wool balls, toilet tissue, I found some crepe paper. So that's going to form the basis of my snow, because she is a snowy mountain. So we've got our rocks, the main part of our mountain. We're now going to create some snow. So just scrunch up your paper, and again I'm just dipping it into the glue because it's quicker than sort of putting the lollipop stick on. So just need to hold it down again. Toilet tissue is really lovely because it's soft and it scrunches up really nice, like that. So another bit of toilet tissue is really lovely. Just pop it in, and don't worry about splodges of glue because you can just fill these in. So cotton wool ball here. So cotton wool is great for filling in gaps. I'm just going to rip that bit in half. So lots of ripping and tearing and splodging with your glue. Oh, it's lovely. You will get messy. You could, normally I do this when I'm doing craft work, is I always have a damp cloth to wipe my hands on, or a damp paper towel. But I haven't done that this time and I'm regretting it. So, good job I got some toilet paper to wipe my hands on, because you will get gluey. A bit of cotton wool, poke that in there. So the textures make it interesting. So if you are lucky enough to grab things that are the same colour but different textures, it makes your work look a lot more interesting. Don't forget, little tiny areas will need little tiny balls of paper. Some more toilet tissue. A bit of crepe paper. I was lucky enough to find this. This is stuff that Ravona was going to throw away, so I probably saved a lot of stuff being put in the bin. Right, so we're just filling in lots of gaps. I'm going to leave some of my mountain exposed. Oh, so some of the blue paint's coming off. Maybe I should have washed my hands. That probably would have been a better idea. Right, so some of the mountain is going to be showing. In case you're thinking, oh, she did all that work creating her mountain rocks and now she's covered it all in snow, but some of it's going to peek through. I'm going to cover the hair though, because I want to give her a snowy hairstyle. So I'm going to just pop some cotton wool balls. These are lovely. These are perfect for this job. These have been sat in my studio for so long. It's actually nice to use them up. You can see her hair is beginning to come together now. Now I'm rushing through this, so that you're not having to sit and watch this for too long. Just to give you the idea. need to stand up sometimes and have a look and see what I've created. Okay, that's quite a bit of snow for now. Now, another thing that I did yesterday that I really, really liked was, I was lucky enough, I don't know why I kept this when I chopped up my net curtains and hemmed them, but I'm glad I did. So what I did was I cut the flowers off of this. Now, I didn't do it, I just quickly did it. So I just cut round them rather than in and out of the petals, because I wasn't really going for a perfect flower. You could sit there and cut them all out if you wanted to. And I used them snowflakes, and I thought it worked really, really well. So I'm just going to cover up that blue bit because I don't like that. That's where I've got paint on it. So I've cut loads of them out, and I layered them all over my snowy mountain, and I thought they looked lovely. So again, they're little things that you can use if you've got anything like that. Make sure it is a scrap though, so do ask. Another thing I did was I found present bows, and I tucked some of those into my mountain yesterday. I also have some buttons. Now, I haven't decided where these are going, but they could just be glued in places just to give a few highlights and a few sparkles, so that when the light catches your beautiful masterpiece, it might be quite nice. So they could go on there as well. And then my next bit I'm planning to do is I'm going to fill all this mountain in at the bottom with my bin liner. So I'm going to carry on with that, and then I'm going to show you the end result in a moment. So just a little sort of view of my work so far. So you can see all the mountains in the background, and I've added a moon as well. You can see lots and lots of layers, and my snowy mountain top. I did add lots of buttons to it in the end because I thought they were quite nice and sparkly, and I really like the snowflakes as well. So just showing you a little bit of a tour around my mountain. And then what I'm going to do as well is those edges you can trim at the end, so don't worry if you've got jagged edges, you can have a good old trim up afterwards. Okay, so it'd be really nice to see what you make at home. So if you're learning at home today, take your time, don't rush this, and you know, it's quite amazing to see what you can produce after chucking a few bits together that you've found around the home. So until next time, have fun, enjoy yourself, chill out, put some music on while you're doing this, and I will see you next time for another art lesson.